8.5 years and counting, Tyler's Bottle Service has been helping collect bottles in Waterford, Oakland County, and as far south as Plymouth. Welcome to Celebrate Michigan, the show produced on the campus of Madonna University. I'm Chris Benson, and please welcome Tyler, Laviolette, and Rhonda Gelstein, the owners of Tyler's Bottle Service, to the show. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
For having us.
Oh, well, tell us all about Tyler's Bottle Service. First of all, what is it and how did you get the idea for this?
It is, I go to people's homes and businesses and collect their Michigan deposit bottles and cans, take them back to the store, and give the customer back half of the money back, and I keep the other half as a fee.
Okay. Sounds like a great business model there.
It is.
Excellent. Now, how did you get started with this?
This is something that I couldn't find a job after graduating from Michigan Career and Technical Institute in Plymouth in 2013, and this was something I liked to do when I was a kid, taking the cans and bottles back from our house. Mom figured one day, if she doesn't like doing it, other people likely won't enjoy doing it, why not make it into a little business?
And it grew from there. 8.5 years later, I checked your Facebook page, and you have a lot of customers.
Yep, I sure do.
And so, Rhonda, how did this get going?
Like Tyler said, when he graduated from Michigan Career and Technology, I always say it wrong, Technology Institute? Technical Institute. I always get it backwards. The economy was bad at that point, and it was very difficult to find a job. And MCTI is a trade school for individuals with disabilities. So when he graduated from that program, he was looking for a job like a lot of other people. Sure. And in our world, everybody works. Mm-hmm. We all have a reason that we need to get up. Mm-hmm. And doing the returnables was his household chore, and so we just kind of thought, okay, well, maybe some people in our neighborhood would let him help them. You know, I mean, I was looking for 10 hours a week, and so we started handing out flyers, and Tyler doesn't drive, so we kind of went through the process of finding someone that could work with him.
Sure.
And it grew from there, and it grew much larger and faster than we ever expected.
Well, it sounds like it. So, Tyler, thinking back to the beginning, you have to be organized with this because you got different customers. You probably have to keep the bottles separate and that kind of thing. How did you guys come up with an organizational way to keep this in check?
That's just something that just happens over time, you know.
Okay.
Well, first we had to build the business by handing out all the flyers. The customers just don't come automatically right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's what I first had to do. But over time, we would eventually perfect the system of labeling certain splits with some labels we use nowadays.
Okay.
We tried various different ones, but found that some UPS ones work well.
Wow.
And have used them over the past few years.
So when he started, when it was small, we kept a notebook. So every pickup would be put in the notebook, and you know, he was happy to have 2 or 3 pickups a day.
Sure.
At first, when he was starting, he was working 3 days a week, 5 hours a day, so 15 hours a week. And then as it got bigger and bigger and evolved, then it's like, okay, this doesn't work anymore. And so over the years, we keep perfecting and changing, and now we have an online scheduling program that customers can go in and book their own appointment, and it has worked pretty well for us. And then we have the database for payments back to the customers, and you know, who knew?
So do you feel like the business, when you started with a couple customers just in the neighborhood, maybe some flyers, and it was local. Do you remember when it got to be bigger than local?
I think around the time I was in there were times I would have to go to Detroit or St. Clair Shores or Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a period of time where there were several different newspaper articles about him. I see. And he was, some bloggers mentioned him. It really exploded with that. Made in Michigan. So there's some bloggers, and They have a product, they work with individuals with disabilities. So they blogged about his being somebody else who is Tyler's, has autism and cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
And so it really exploded. And with the different media outlets reporting about him and then the online, it just went viral and kept spreading word of mouth. And he was, for a while, we were getting requests all the way, we were going to Detroit, St. Clair Shores, and we live in Waterford, West Oakland County. So we were all over the place for a while.
It'd take an hour just to get to those types of pickups and back alone.
Wow. So what's the biggest order that you've ever picked up from a customer of bottles? If you had to guess.
We have had various instances where it would take up a garage full.
Oh my.
One garage bay at least.
Wow.
Yeah, easily, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, it would probably be $600 worth of returnables.
Oh my gosh.
At 10 cents each.
Wow.
And now post-pandemic, because we helped some organizations who maybe had done fundraisers.
Yeah.
And it got too big, so then has been way more than that.
Wow. And the customers, so the deal is 50-50, right? Like
yes,
you keep for your costs because you've got a business.
Yes, it is.
And then the customer gets cash. Is that how it goes, or how?
Well, we started out with cash, but
Okay.
eventually shifted to either a check or through PayPal.
So this is a business. Like you are a business owner as well as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Do you look at yourself that way?
I do feel that in a way because it makes me appreciate what I am doing. I like what I'm doing. I like that I'm helping other people take care of something they don't like doing.
Well, I tell you
Someone's
what.
got to do it, and that's how it is.
We love talking to you. I have to take a break though, unfortunately. We're already at that point. So stay tuned and you're going to hear much more about Tyler's bottle service when we return. And Tyler's going to tell you a little bit about how things were during the pandemic. So stay tuned. We'll be happy to tell you about it.
Fast-paced family life in need of a slowdown?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Did you know all those green shapes on maps are parks and forests? It's true. Visit discovertheforest.org and plan to visit a park or forest near you, instead of just wondering what it would have been like.
While the word forest might make you think of distant lands from far, far away, please note parks and forests are closer than you think, which means things like beautiful scenery, fresh air, and family time are also closer than you think.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Maria, so how's work?
It was 4th period biology. Our students just weren't getting how easily viruses spread. So Miss Bell and I had them role play a zombie virus outbreak. By the time they had all learned the lesson, all the living were dead. Hey, how's your job going?
That big sales meeting I planned? Next year, I might get to go.
Cool.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and again I'm here with Tyler, Laviolette, and Rhonda Gelstein of Tyler's Bottle Service. And we're wearing masks here on the show, so we are still in COVID times, but we're, well into it at this point. This probably affected your business, I'm guessing. How?
Yes, it partially, mainly because in the early days of the pandemic, the state of Michigan shut down the bottle returns at the stores.
I remember.
Because they thought that the COVID would get into the services and stuff, so.
Yeah.
It was reasonable, but of course that turned out not to be the case, but we didn't know.
Right.
So, yeah, it was shut down, which was very difficult for him.
Yeah.
And being it was difficult for everybody, but somebody on the spectrum and very business oriented like him, that was kind of a hard process.
Sure.
So when the governor opened up for independent business people, like lawn mowing and stuff like that, independent services where they weren't in contact with other people, when those were opened up, I told him he could go back to work and do pickups.
Awesome.
But so it was all no contact, but of course the bottle return areas weren't open. So now what do we do with all of these? So thankfully some nice businesses in the area offered us some storage facilities at a discounted rate. And so it's like, okay, we're thinking we'll have 1 or 2 storage units and we'll fill them up. And then the returnables started rolling in. And
wow.
It was crazy. And so through that, until the returns opened up again, we were putting everything into storage units.
Oh my gosh.
And storage units. Now, of course, as they're mounting, that's great because they're out of people's homes, which is good. But now we're still going to have to deal with all of
right.
these.
Yep.
And of course, when the return areas, the redemption areas opened up again, everybody had all their returnables. So there were the lines out the doors to try to do your returnables. And we were very blessed. Powers Distributing gave us the opportunity to go in and do mass returns. So we had to sort them by aluminum, plastic, and glass. And we were able to take in truckloads to them.
Oh my gosh.
And we didn't have to sort them by brand or anything like that. And so we did how many? 3?
Yeah.
3 returns to them?
Yeah.
Different cycles. So that was a huge blessing that they did that. And they were doing it for some bunch of nonprofits and stuff as well to help the communities get through this backlog from the pandemic. And then when we finally got on top of everything, now we're back to business as usual.
I bet that was quite a backlog to process, Tyler.
Yes, it was. And to get rid of we had around 10 storage units at one point.
Oh my gosh.
But we did get that last one taken care of by May, and it feels good to no longer have to worry about storage units anymore.
Well, and I bet, and being the owner of the business, you probably were feeling stressed because you were like, I want to make sure that I can serve the customers. And, you couldn't at that time, and it wasn't your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, and I'm sure that now you're probably been caught up and hoping that we won't be in that situation again.
It's, and it's a possibility.
Sure.
And you have to go with the flow like everybody else does with every industry. And, so we had to readjust some of the ways that Tyler did business. And we work with each day as it comes.
Mm-hmm.
And was your Facebook page, did you find that during COVID that you put more into the Facebook page so that people could still stay connected with you, or did you step away from that? How did they stay connected with you?
Well, we tried in various ways. I mean, early last year we tried doing a year of doing various Coney Islands, visited Coney Islands out in Michigan for hot dogs.
Oh, wow.
Well, by the time March rolled around, that got affected. So we tried doing some mass together home with different hot dogs and Coney sauces.
Yeah, so he tried to do different fun things on his page just to keep it relevant. And he also has an email list, so we would send out periodic updates to his customers through the email list as well.
Awesome. Everyone pivoted, right? I know.
Yep. The whole world.
I know we've got some pictures to share with our audience, so we're going to ask you to talk through them as we show them in the studio here. What are we looking at here?
That was me when I was born.
Oh my gosh.
On September 22nd, 1992.
So Tyler was born at 24 weeks gestation. He was 1 pound 5 ounces when he was born. And so that is, he's probably a week old or so there. That particular image was used, put on magnets and was sent all over the country for people to pray for him to
You've come a long way, Tyler.
I was on magnets?
You were on magnets. See, you learned something new.
Oh, we're so glad to have you here today. And oh my goodness, there you are with your business.
Yes, that is an indicative sign of the times from last year.
Wow.
Stuff going to Powers.
Look at that.
So, yes, we were calling that Mount Tyler. What we were doing is bringing the returnables from the storage units to our house. That's in my backyard. And we were sorting them. And then we had to put them into trucks and load them up to go to Powers. So
wow.
It was a lot of work.
Incredible, incredible amount of work. Look at all those bottles. Making it happen, though.
Yep.
Oh, looks like a drop-off, huh?
Yep, so this is typical of what Tyler does. He'll go to the customer's home. We take a picture at each stop. And that does a couple of things for us. For one, especially in the early days, it let the customer know it was truly Tyler doing the work.
Yes.
And, you know, because there was some skepticism at first.
Sure.
What is this? You know, nobody had ever heard of this before. Right. And because, again, when he was small, we were looking for content. And so that, it helps us double check as well. So
yes.
It was kind of a good filler, and then it just kind of became the process. And because we were taking photos at the stops, what we were not anticipating when we started it, we were only looking at it for us. Well, then the viral nature of social media took place. And people started sharing the photos. And they were sharing them on their social media, which we weren't, you know, I wasn't thinking that way. No marketing genius. And so as the photos were spread, then more customers were coming to them. And it just kind of grew. And so now that's what he keeps doing. At every stop, he takes a photo. And that lets the customer, so they can check in during the day and say, oh, Tyler's been by my house. And they know their returnables have been taken away.
Well, my gosh.
Special bonus if it's, I'm a dog guy, so that if a person's friendly dog is there, that's going to be in the photo.
And who doesn't love a friendly dog, right?
Yep.
Well, thank you for staying tuned. We're going to come right back with more from Tyler's Bottle Service. See you in a few.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans.
These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids.
Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. So is the solution.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
Sounds like you could use some Van Gogurt. It's fortified with arts-rich nutrients to improve your math and reading skills. Catch!
Van Gogurt, thanks. So what's the deal with your ear?
Always with the ear, huh?
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education, what are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher.
You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess?
What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Can I have $1?
Yeah, it's right. I think my purse is upstairs on the bag.
It's not here.
Check the dining room.
No.
What about your sister's room?
It's not there either.
The upstairs closet? The downstairs closet?
There are no more closets.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Chris Benson, and again, we are here today with Tyler and Rhonda of Tyler's Bottle Service in Waterford, Michigan. My goodness, we talked a lot about starting the business. We talked about how you've survived through that business with COVID and pivoted as a small business owner. You even have a shirt that has Tyler's Bottle Service on it. So you have products and swag, and I can find that on your Facebook page?
Yes, you can. We don't have a... Yeah, we have various hats and shirts for sale and sweatshirts.
And what inspired you to create, wearables?
Tyler was asked early on in the business to handle returnables for Quake on the Lake up in Waterford, White Lake. It's a big airboat.
Yeah.
And hydroplanes, thank you. And so we needed something to identify ourselves. So I created a logo, and we made some shirts and had them made and did the event. Well, a very nice guy at the print company that printed our shirts said, "I really like what you're doing. Can I redesign your logo?" Which said to me, the one I did looked like Mom created the logo, which he did, I will confess. So they created the logo for him, and so now in Tyler is all about the swag. He likes to have his logo on things. We have, over the years, he's given away can koozies to all of his customers.
Awesome.
He's had insulated bags. We've given away shirts and hats, and just, again, it's for him, it's all about the branding, but it's also an identifier for him. This is his place in the world.
Yeah.
So.
And Tyler, I know you're very excited to talk about the mentor program and to tell us about this, because there's a mentoring component to this business as well.
Yes, there is.
What's that about?
It's because when we started getting bigger, we talked about early on, the reason I don't go into Detroit or St. Clair Shores or Troy anymore, we tend to have people to work with people with special needs who want to start their own bottle business. And we give them training and give them a customer base of who I have in a general area if that's possible, and then promote them on our Facebook page as well, and help if they do have their own page as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, when it got larger than we wanted to manage, and it was wearing him out, and it was wearing me out. I wasn't looking for a full-time job. The job was to get him to work. So that but we were also seeing what it was doing for him as an individual with disabilities who owns his own business. It gave him an identity in the community. So we talked to Tyler's service provider and the agency that he deals with, and we spoke with all the support coordinators within that agency, and we said, listen, we'd be willing to share this. And since then, we have shared it with probably 30 individuals and some couple of agencies who then take the business model and use it to create their own businesses. And we don't charge for it. We don't, this is kind of our way to give back. And anybody in the state of Michigan that wants to work, that has, the only thing we ask is that they be working with an agency, because we don't ask what their disabilities are. We don't ask anything. That's none of our business. We figure if they've been vetted by an agency, that's good enough for us. And many of them are out there doing great things. In fact, Tyler was contacted by, it was Cobo, then it was TCF Center. I don't even know what it's called now. It's
Huntington in it.
I don't know.
Yep.
But Tyler was contacted to handle all their returnables.
Well, we're
like, okay, we'll figure this out. But we then went to, and we spoke to an agency, and they have taken over that contract, and they use it with all of their individuals that they service. So it's really become this really cool community, across the state of Michigan thing.
Tyler, how does it feel to know that the business that you started is now spun off into a lot of little businesses where other people can have their own adventures like you have?
Oh, feels wonderful to know that my little idea, nearly a decade later, has become something special to help other people create their own businesses in ways that where they would be able to do something that no one else they wouldn't be able to do, like create their own jobs.
Wow.
And I'm just surprised, and for me it just makes me happy that I'm not having to go really far out just to go to a stop and back.
Oh, I'm sure. Because when you have a big business, you know, sometimes you got to have little parts that you farm out to other people, right? You can't handle the whole thing. It's nice to have others.
Yep.
What do you want in the future for your business, Tyler? What do you see for the future? Do you want it to grow? Do you want there to be?
I hopefully grow within my own areas, of course, because someone else, because all the other businesses that I've helped have also grown in their own ways as well.
Our big focuses at this point is mentoring, helping others start. And one thing that we've been trying to pursue for quite a few years is starting our own redemption center. And frankly, the pandemic and the consequences behind it showed the need for something like that, to get the returnables out of our grocery store environments where there's food into their own separate place. So we've gone around and around. I mean, I've even spoke to Governor Granholm's office, you know, through different state legislators, through different associations. We meet a lot of closed doors, but we're still knocking.
And where can people find you? On Facebook, correct?
Yep, it is Tyler's Bottle Service.
Well, we want all of you out there to go see Tyler's Bottle Service on Facebook. Thank you, Tyler and Rhonda, for coming and talking to us today on Celebrate Michigan. And thank you for watching, and get those bottles out of your basement. Get on there and get an appointment with Tyler. Take care. We'll see you next time.